I mean, at the end of the week here, with all of this chaos among Republicans, but the much graver circumstances around the world, I actually have my eye on Democrats. How long are Democrats going to stand by in the world of identity politics and zero-sum politics and not be part of any solution?
The House still doesn't have a speaker for the first time in American history. This is nearly 2 weeks after Kevin McCarthy was stripped of his leadership. They still can't even pass a resolution condemning the Hamas attacks. It's starting to look like there is not one House Republican who can get 217 votes. Republican Congressman Austin Scott said the chaos, quote, makes us look like a bunch of idiots, unquote. Is he right?
Well, I'll tell you what's right is under the Biden administration, we've seen chaos with inflation and the fact that people
You can't blame that on Biden. You can't blame this on Biden.
Hey guys, Fred Wellman, the MeidasTouch Network, host of On Democracy with FPWellman right here on the network. Well, you know, it looks like Jim Jordan is the current speaker designee for the Republican caucus in the House. He got out with a vote of 121 to 81 on Friday with not enough. He needs 217. So now the whipping, as they call it in Washington, D.C. has begun, trying to get the votes he needs to get to 217. Don't know if that's going to happen within the caucus. A lot of people are against Jim Jordan for a lot of reasons, which we'll discuss shortly. I want to talk about just that. But what I really want to talk about, too, was the ridiculousness of Washington, D.C. and the media especially. You know, right after the vote, I actually put this tweet out that says, you know, how long, what's the over and under, what's the countdown till D.C. media or pundits say the Dems need to come together and do the right thing. I said 10 minutes. I want to admit to all of you guys, I was wrong. It took till the next morning for this stupidity to occur on CNN with David Gregory.
Yes, now journalist, author of How's Your Faith, David Gregory. David, it's great to have you. You've got a lot of perspective on D.C. over the years. When this happened and Phil and I were down in D.C., we kept talking about the fact that, well, what if there's a crisis, right? And I was thinking more domestic crisis, but then there is a crisis on the international stage. How can they not coalesce around someone in a moment like this? How do you explain it?
I don't have an explanation. I think it's another embarrassment for the Republican Party. Mike McFaul, who's a very serious lawmaker from Texas, from the Homeland Security Committee, said the world is burning. The world is on fire. And we can't seem to come to an agreement on a leader. It's a real problem. I mean, at the end of the week here, with all of this chaos among Republicans, but the much graver circumstances around the world, I actually have my eye on Democrats. How long are Democrats going to stand by in the world of identity politics and zero-sum politics and not be part of any solution? We'll see. I think there's more cards to be played before Democrats jump in. But I think people who don't follow this day in and day out the way we do are looking up and wondering whether Washington has any ability to do their job. To pass bills, to pass legislation, to make sure the government is funded, let alone play a role on the world stage, which is what America is still expected to do.
Yeah, it goes on for a while. But he says the Democrats need to put aside their identity politics, essentially for the good of the country. You know, I looked it up. Not one Republican ever voted for Nancy Pelosi. Now, they always nominate old Kevin McCarthy. They've never supported the other side. But who have they nominated? Let's talk about identity politics. You mean the identity of a person who has gone against everything the Democrats stand for, a person who has undermined democracy on a regular basis? Let's come up with a list. Let's see. Jim Jordan has always attacked the Democrats. Let's go back to 2018 when he attacked him for not putting a work requirement in SNAP benefits. That's one. But then he also supported the insurrection. Jim Jordan was a key organizer, attended multiple meetings at the White House, texted the chief of staff of the White House the day before the January 6th to give a plan for how Pence could turn back the nominations, turn back the election. Spoke with the president multiple times, according to phone records, on January 6th, refuses to cooperate with the January 6th committee to the point where he was subpoenaed and to this day has not cooperated with the subpoena. He was referred to the ethics committee. Of course, Kevin McCarthy is not going to do a damn thing about that, but that's who he is. There's also reports that he asked for a pardon, was asked discussing congressional pardons with the White House. Why? That's all before we talk about his time as a wrestling coach, assistant wrestling coach at Ohio State University. Now, multiple athletes that served on his team have come out saying he should not be Speaker of the House. He knew about the multiple sexual assaults and abuse by the team doctor and refused to cooperate. One man testified in a hearing in Ohio to extend the statute of limitations on the crimes that he called him begging him not to say anything publicly about him knowing. I mean, we all have to know about his assistant coaching of wrestling since he never wears a jacket, like the wrestling coach that he is. I mean, this is what we get when we keep electing athletic coaches like him in Tuberville. But it's up to the Dems to help. Yeah, well, here's what Hakeem Jeffries had to say about that.
Republicans have selected as their nominee to be the Speaker of the People's House the chairman of the Chaos Caucus, a defender in a dangerous way of dysfunction, and an extremist extraordinaire.
Yeah. Founding member of the Chaos Caucus, founding member of the Freedom Caucus. And they want Dems to bend and give up every value they stand for and put a man in line for the presidency who we cannot be guaranteed that when Joe Biden wins the election in 2024, that when it has to be certified, he'll certify that election since he already tried to stop it once before. Talk about chaos. I'm an old Gen Xer, right? I grew up on Schoolhouse Rock. That's how I understand most of our government. I turned to Schoolhouse Rock. And, I don't know. Well, I found this meme, and it kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Yeah. There isn't a song that explains this shit. Hopefully they figure it out next week. But Jim Jordan should never darken the gavel of the House Speaker. I'm Fred Wellman. Thanks for joining us here on the MeidasTouch Network. We'll see you soon.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.